Welcome back to Industrial Problem Solving. My name is Dave Royson. In this last section of the course, we discuss the many ways you can get stuck in problem solving. The strategy will be to not get unstuck, but rather avoid the sticky place in the first place. A pitfall is a pit dug into the ground, covered with leaves and branches to disguise it. The purpose is to trap the unwary animal. Yet, it is very hard to trap a fox or a lion in this way. They will see, smell, and hear something not right, and they will avoid it. Cows, on the other hand, well, they will be cows. Be smart like a fox. See that pitfall and walk around it. There are as many ways to get stuck as there are to get unstuck. Thus, this will be one of the largest sections of this course. It will be broken down into 3 to 4 bite-sized modules. I'm sure some of you will recognize some of these pitfalls. Other pitfalls will be new to all who have not been in my troubleshooting course or read my 2 problem-solving books. In any case, let's get started, and let's try to avoid getting stuck. What better way is there to get stuck before you even get started than poorly defined goals? We spent a whole section on problem definition early in this course. Still, a reminder is always good, and here are a few examples. For example, reducing customer complaints may be worthy, but better yet, work on a single complaint, preferably one that is measurable. Better yet may be to find out what is really bothering your customer. As we discussed before, what they say and what they think and what they really need may well be 3 totally different ideas. Another example of a poorly defined goal may be to wind softer rolls. Hard or tight rolls is not a defect. At most, it is a symptom of risk. Reducing tightness may not necessarily reduce complaints enough. Also, reducing tightness may incur loose defects. So think through, what do you specifically want to accomplish and why? In other words, addressing a rejectable problem by considering all options may be preferable to addressing a single symptom or a risk. We have been so brainwashed to think that you should always work on the number one problem because it is most costly. Yet, the number one problem is number one because it is usually a son of a bench. Good problem solvers tend to be lazy. They may work on number 2 or number 3 if it looks easier. Home runs in baseball are rare. If you expect your team to hit one out of the ballpark, you may be setting everyone up for failure and frustration. So enough with this elimination language. Instead of eliminating a cause of waste, we should be happy with reducing it. Instead of eliminating a customer complaint, we should be happy to reduce it. Indeed, economics teaches us that benefit or opportunity cost is the lesser half of the problem. It is the cost-benefit ratio that really matters. As such, you might be helping your company be more profitable by reducing waste by only 5% if you can do it by turning a knob, rather than by reducing waste 50% with an expensive rebuild that may or may not pay for itself. The saying, "too many cooks spoil the broth," may also apply to problem solving. I was once involved in a very serious troubleshooting event. The mill manager thought that if it took one person 30 days to figure something out, he would put 30 people in a room and get it done in one day. The team was even well composed, of operators to experts, several from outside the company. Yet, only after the team broke up and I and 2 others remained were we able to figure it out. Despite the common belief that more is better, study after study has shown that the optimum group size for the core of problem solving is only 2 or 3 people who have widely differing backgrounds. For example, an operator, mechanic, and an engineer, or an operator, mechanical engineer, and customer service, or a mechanical and chemical engineer, or, well, you get the idea. I am not saying that larger groups are not helpful. Indeed, large groups may be helpful or even needed for many parts of the process, especially getting started, data gathering, and the solution steps. Also, I am not saying that large groups don't work for the core of problem solving either. I saw a large group work well for the core once. Even worse than having too many people is not having the right people. Wouldn't it be a shame to struggle with wrinkles, for example, and not know there's an entire chapter in a book on the subject, as well as 100 other articles on wrinkling that you could find from the free Roysum Library search tool? Have you called outside experts, such as suppliers and consultants? Have you talked to your operator today? A perennial is a plant that comes up from the same roots year after year. An example of a perennial weed is the common dandelion in your lawn. You can either engage in an endless battle, or you can surrender. Anything in between is even worse. There are many such problems in our industry. Perhaps most problems are. A few of those I put in my personal run and hide list because they are especially difficult. My 5,000 Web401 students will recognize some of them, including baggy webs, paper breaks, winder vibration, and others. Fix it, but don't change anything significant, is one of the biggest barriers to success that often starts early in the process, usually at the problem definition stage. However, it can occur later on if, for example, the boss says or implies, "We can't do that." Often, we find that the answers or the effective solutions are strange or possibly unpleasant. In that case, we may be more comfortable with the devil we know than the devil we don't. Thank you so very much for joining me in this problem-solving process. I hope I've made the case that looking ahead and avoiding trouble when possible is preferable to getting stuck and then trying to figure out how to get unstuck. We've covered 8 cases here in this module. We have another 18 yet to go. Stay tuned for more ways to avoid getting stuck.